Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video this evening I am going to be giving you Man United's best 11 following the arrival of Bruno Fernandes and Odion Ighalo. So we will now get straight on to the topic. So this is my current best 11. So I would go with the 4-2-3-1 formation. Well, this is the lineup I would go with in the 4-2-3-1 formation because Solskjaer has been going with that 4-2-3-1 formation on a regular basis this season. But he normally sticks to that formation. In the odd game here or there, he has reverted to 3 at the back. But from my own perception, we look more expansive with 3 at the back. But with the likes of Bruno Fernandes, you know, he suits the 4-2-3-1 system better, obviously. So yes, I would go with David De Gea in goal. Of course, David De Gea is still our first choice goalkeeper, despite the fact, you know, he hasn't been so good in the last year, or, you know, maybe even longer than a year. David De Gea is now into his 9th season at Manchester United. He has endured 8 years here. So I would say he's probably had a good 7.5 years out of the 8 years he's been at Manchester United. Of course, David De Gea may not be first choice if Dean Henderson was to return from his loan spell from Sheffield United, but that is debatable. Is he going to make a return to Manchester United? I know we've got Sergio Romero. He's currently our second choice goalkeeper. He tends to play like in the FA Cup games, but I don't think he's reliable enough to become our number 1 goalkeeper. So I would stick with David De Gea in goal. David De Gea, of course, against Wolves, made his 300th Premier League appearance for Manchester United. But even though he hasn't been so good in the last year, revert back to what I said, I think he's still regarded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And he's, 28, 29 years of age. So I would stick with him. Right back, Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, he is my first choice right back. I've got an element of concern about Wan-Bissaka. You know, he doesn't show much in terms of an attacking intent. But on the other hand, his defensive abilities are very, very good and his distribution's good. And I think, you know, analysing the vast majority of his games at Manchester United so far, he has done really, really well as Wan-Bissaka. So I think he's replicating what he did last season with Crystal Palace. Because he only made his senior debut, don't forget, back in February 2018. But I would stick with Wan-Bissaka right back. Obviously, you know, we've got a variety of fullbacks in the team anywhere. Obviously, you know, Diego Dalot is, you know, a backup option, you know, obviously. Centre-back partnership, obviously, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. I think analysing it for the vast majority of this season, they've complemented each other fantastically well. My perception on Maguire, I think he's had a couple of bad games this season for Manchester United, you know, where he's obviously, you know, made quite a lot of mistakes and that. And I do agree on the aspects that Manchester United overpaid for him, you know, because we paid £80 million for Harry Maguire. So that means he's the second most expensive signing at the club. And he is, you know, the most expensive defender in the world. So we paid £5 million more for Maguire than what Liverpool did for Virgil van Dijk, because Liverpool paid £75 million for Virgil van Dijk, and Harry Maguire's nowhere near on Virgil van Dijk's level. But I still think he's done well for Man United, and obviously I think Man United did make the right decision by giving him the captaincy on a permanent basis. Obviously, being given the captaincy reflecting on Ashley Young leaving the football club. Lindelof, I think he's also had a couple of bad games this season. Lindelof is now into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. I think he's done, you know, quite well. In his first season wasn't so good, didn't really settle in. You know, does take some players sometimes it takes some players time sometimes, you know, to settle in. You know, they don't always settle in straight away. I thought there was vast improvements though in his 2nd season in his game, and I think this season he's mainly done well. So a lot of aspects of his game have improved with Victor Lindelof's. You know, some people may think that maybe we need to get another centre-half in who's on like Harry Maguire's level rather than Lindelof, but I'm happy, you know, with Lindelof alongside Harry Maguire, definitely in that. And overall anyway, we've got a lot of centre-halves in the team. You know, we've still got Phil Jones here. You know, Phil Jones, Alex Tuanzebe, he's currently injured at the moment. Obviously, Bay and Fosu Mensah have just come back from injury. But all of them, you know, are good as backups, you know, to Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. At left back, I would go with Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams, obviously now Solskjaer views Brandon Williams as his first choice left back, because since Brandon Williams has come onto the horizon, he has done really well for Manchester United. And this is only his first season in the senior squad, and he ain't half making a meal of it. I think his distribution's good, he shows good attacking intent. Brandon Williams can make them overlapping runs, and he's a much better solution than Luke Shaw. Solskjaer, is still an admirer of Luke Shaw. He's obviously, Luke Shaw's more experienced than Brandon Williams, and maybe in that aspect, Solskjaer would prefer to go with Luke Shaw on that aspect. But I think, Brandon Williams is a much better solution. So, I don't think Luke Shaw, is not, not a better option. But Luke Shaw, of course, is still getting his chances. So that's the back five I would go with. Now, the two in the midfield, I would go with Fred, because I think Fred has rejuvenated himself recently, and I think he's done well in the vast majority of his games this season as Fred. Obviously Manchester United paid £50 million for him from Shakhtar Donetsk in the summer of 2018. To be fair to Fred, he never really got his opportunities under Jose Mourinho, but I think, he's had some bad games as a Manchester United player, but I think, recently he has done well. Since Solskjaer come in, I think the vast majority of his games he has done well in as Fred. He's not at that level as yet, but Manchester United need to be determined to give him more time at the football club. I think it's dependent on who Fred plays alongside. He's had a good couple of games when he's been playing alongside Matic. Obviously, I think he did really, really well when he was playing alongside McTominay, before, McTominay was currently injured. I thought, they complemented each other fantastically well. And, I would go with McTominay alongside Fred, because I think, they complement each other fantastically well. Maybe some Manchester United fans would go with Matic alongside Fred. But I'd go with Fred and McTominay, so they're the two midfielders I would go with. Obviously, the three attackers, I would go, obviously, with Bruno Fernandes in that number 10. I think Bruno Fernandes is a very good signing for Manchester United, like I mentioned. Obviously, we did sign him, was it a couple of days before deadline day. Manchester United paid €80 million for him, which equates to around 68 million in pounds sterling, with add-ons included. And he signed a 5.5-year deal with an option of a further year. So it's like a 6.5-year deal and that. So Bruno Fernandes is our fourth most expensive signing now. Analysing his debut against Wolves, I thought it was absolutely sensational, was Bruno Fernandes, like I mentioned. And the stats proved it, because Bruno Fernandes in the first half of the game against Wolves, he had more chances than any other player, did he? He had around 5 chances. 3 of them were on target. He had the most touches in the first half. His pass accuracy was good. So it was good business getting Bruno Fernandes in. I think at Manchester United he can definitely replicate what he did do with Sporting Lisbon in his 2.5 years there. Because in his 2.5 years with Sporting Lisbon, he scored 64 goals in 137 games in all competitions. But, I think, Bruno Fernandes is on another level to the vast majority of our team, and that, and, we've got the vast majority of this team have got to try and, adapt to Bruno Fernandes' level, to be quite honest with you. But, as I updated you the other day, you got Ryan Giggs coming out, and I understand Ryan Giggs' perception on it. He came out and said that, he came out and said, he's warned Solskjaer that, Bruno Fernandes could be a liability in a deep midfield role. So what he means is, he's saying Solskjaer can't play him out of position. He can't put him as a holding midfielder, because if he did watch the Wolves game, like I mentioned on my reaction, he did start in his predominant position, which is at attacking mid. But as the game went on, he got rotated to a holding midfielder, and then Andres Pereira got put into the attacking role. So that shouldn't have really happened. So I don't have any concerns about Fernandes. But maybe I've got an element of concern about, the use of him. Is Solskjaer going to play him in his predominant position every single game and that? But we need to keep him in that advanced position, because that's obviously, where we're going to see the best out of Bruno Fernandes anywhere. So, so him in the number 10. On the left-hand side, probably, Anthony Martial on the left-hand side. Maybe people have different perceptions on that, because actually, Martial could be one of the players that's leaving Old Trafford in the summer. You've obviously had Ian Wright coming out recently. He gave his own perception on Martial, and he believes that Manchester United need to drop him. Obviously, Alan Shearer's come out and criticised Anthony Martial. But he has been very, very poor, at least in his last 6 or 7 Premier League games. Obviously, he has looked very isolated up top as Anthony Martial, and he hasn't really been getting enough service, you can say that, but, he just hasn't been good enough in that. And some people believe anywhere Martial operates better out wide than he does in that number 9. It got confirmed at the start of this season that Manchester United had given Anthony Martial that number 9, and he did well early on this season, but Martial's had quite a few injuries this season. Martial, of course, has scored 60 senior goals in 202 appearances for Man United since his arrival from Monaco back in 2015. And now Anthony Martial is into his 5th season at the football club. So he has been a long servant, and he is only at the age of 24. But, a lot of people now saying that Anthony Martial should be dropped and we should play, Greenwood ahead of him and all that. But I'd still believe what I said about Greenwood on my other videos. He still needs to be, he needs to get more starts in the Premier League, does Mason Greenwood. Like in the cup games and that, he's getting starts, but in the league he isn't getting enough starts. And Greenwood's definitely one of the young players that will become a success at Manchester United, definitely. Greenwood can play centrally, he can also play on the right-hand side. So I put Anthony Martial on the left, Bruno Fernandes in number 10. Probably, James on the right-hand side. I know James hasn't been so good in the last month for Manchester United, but I think analysing the vast majority of his performances, he has done really well. For my own perception, James needs to get a rest anywhere, because I do believe that Solskjaer has been overplaying him this season. He has rested him in quite a few games, but I would go with James on the right. And up top, of course, Odion Ighalo. Alright. Wait a minute. Just need to sort my way. Just wait there a second. No. No. Sorry about that, guys, for that long way. I was just currently doing something. But yeah, right back to what I said, I would go with Odion Ighalo up top. I presume he's going to be making his debut against Chelsea after the winter break and that. But I think he's a very, very good signing. He's Odion Ighalo, like I mentioned, he's a good cover-up for Rashford, because Rashford's out injured at the moment. He's going to be out for at least the next couple of months. He's got a double fracture in his back, don't forget, and Rashford has been one of our best players this season, and he's also a good alternative to Anthony Martial. We have got Odion Ighalo in on loan until the end of the season. It is a 6-month loan, no option to buy. Man United have paid around 3 or 4 million for the loan. We're paying like a third of his wages, giving him around £100,000 a week and that. But I do believe he's an option of a different type of centre forward, and that, like Solskjaer was saying, he's an experienced player. He's a, Manchester United supporter. He's been a Man United fan, since I think he was a boy. And of course, he's now 30 years of age. Did well in China, I thought. Also, is well proven in the Premier League because I thought he enjoyed 3 good years with Watford, did the player. Last season was the top scorer of the African Cup of Nations. He's scored a lot of goals for Watford, 39 goals in 99 matches. That's very, very impressive in that. So, yeah, that's my best 11 now. I would go with Bruno Fernandes and Odion Ighalo now in the team. Solskjaer, of course, since he come in, has recruited 5 players into Man United. Obviously, we need to make more signings in the summer, and we're already making, plans for the summer and that. I think we need at least another 3 or 4 more signings. Obviously in the past 2 summer transfer windows, we've recruited 6 players in. Last summer we got James Bissaka and Harry Maguire. And the summer of 2018, that's when we had Mourinho. He brought Fred Dalot and Lee Grant in. Lee Grant, I think, is like our 3rd choice goalkeeper now, is he? So we've got to make more investment in the summer transfer window and that. We don't need to see more incomings, or like I've mentioned, we also need to see more outgoings at Manchester United in the summer. And I've got a rough idea what players are going to leave in the summer. Definitely Paul Pogba's one of them. I will negotiate more about Paul Pogba in my next video. Probably, Pereira's one of them because he's a liability. Jesse Lingard, possibly Anthony Martial, Luke Shaw, Phil Jones, Matic maybe. So I think there's going to be quite a lot of players that are going to leave Manchester United in the summer, definitely in that. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.